All right, here we go.
Someday.
Yes, they will. They definitely will.
It's
All
okay
right.
if they
Just a
don't.
matter of time.
Okay, so let's start out. 2 blocks at the top of the mat. And we're going to do some standing. You'll be okay, keep your foot flat. You want to use the blue blocks? Anybody else want blue? No? We're good?
I've never used blue.
You'll probably like them.
Try them. We're trying for this.
Okay.
See what you think? It keeps you a little higher up so you don't have to worry about your alignment as much and you can feel what you want to feel in the hips more.
If
If
you're
you have
having
any
blue, I
tightness
like
in the
that.
hips, it helps. Yeah. All right, yeah, you guys come from the same world, the gym world, so you guys could use that extra space.
Gym
Little
world.
shift, little higher, that's it. All right, we're going to start out, hands on the blocks. And now we step your left foot forward outside the block, like usual. Then you're going to step your right foot back, all the way over to the right side of the mat with the foot flat on the ground. So it is not a long lunging stance like when we do lizard. It's much shorter. More parts of the now, so it's short. It's you're almost even less than a leg's length from foot to foot and wide, outside of the mat to outside of the mat. Okay? Then let your chest drop into your shoulder girdle, top of the head forward, chin in. Make sure the whole back releases. A lot of people are holding in the middle back here. If you're holding in the middle back, you cannot roll through your hips. Okay? Pressing softly in your hand. Keep letting the head drop, legitimately hang. Even the chin hangs. Don't tuck your chin up and get yourself a double chin. No chin left here. And press down through your hands. Slide the shoulder blades around ribs to bring ribs up. Don't use your hips for that. And then let them just settle back down. This should be easy and loose. Slide shoulder blades around ribs. Let them settle back down. 2 more. Slide shoulder blades around ribs. Let them settle back down. Release your back. Release all the way through the hips. Slide shoulder blades up and, or down, I guess it is, around ribs, and let it settle back down. Last one, pick it up. Drop your ribs halfway down in the shoulder girdle. So your serratus are engaged, those little muscles on the rib cage are engaged to pull shoulders back. And it's like your ribs are sitting in a little arc. They're mobile, they can move, but they're supported. Now shift your weight back. The right hip should drop back and open a little. Then shift your weight forward. Think of your whole rib cage going forward. Think of the spine like a little slinky, and it's getting long here, space between each rib. Then shift the weight back. Feel the rolling through the hips. If you don't interfere with it, hips will roll. Shift forward, ribs forward. Keep the spine long. Don't let the back heel come off the ground. Shift your weight back. Okay, now instead of using your back to do this, let the back release. Let's feel the feet. Roll barely to the inner arch of your back foot. The pinky side of the foot may lift on that right foot. Roll to the outer arch of the left foot. Soften your back, drop the head, and then shifting forward, ribs go long forward. Feel that right hip drop forward more. Good. At the same time, you should feel your left hip drop back a little bit more. Then shift back. Roll to the outer right foot. Stay rolled to the outer left foot though. Keep dropping your sitting bones back. Feel that stretch in the front leg, front groin, front hip. Okay? Roll to the inner back foot a little bit. Start moving forward with the spine. Let your right hip roll forward. Now keep the legs straight in the back. To use your quad to straighten the leg back without using glute at all. And at the same time, drop hip forward against that. Good. Hugging your left hip further back. Bring the left shoulder forward. Let's bring your left block forward further. Keeping the hip back. Drop the head. Breathe. Bring the block back under your shoulder. Press through hands a little, pick up the ribs. I want your left low belly to pick up. I want space in your left hip crease. Then when you roll back, keep that space. Don't let that close off. Good. And roll forward, keep space in the left hip crease. Good. Roll back, keeping that space. You're going to start to feel the hips get mobile, get separate. Roll forward, keep space in that left hip crease. Drop the left hip further back. Roll back. One more time, roll that right hip forward, soften the back. Now roll to the outer arch of your left foot, just a little. Good. Unlock your left knee. Don't bend it a lot, just unlock it. Open your left knee further out to the left. Drop right hip a little further forward. Feel that stretch in the hip deepen. Okay, keep the top of the head forward. Drop your chest into shoulder girdle. Good. Keep it on the outer left foot as you shift your right hip back. Try to bend the right knee out to the right a little. You can turn the heel in a little further. Try to bend both knees. Feel sitting bones open deeper. Good job. It's kind of a funny squat. We've got you straighten the legs. Good. Now walk your blocks out to the right and a little bit forward. So you've got a lot of length in your torso. Keep your weight in your hands. Let the chest drop halfway down in the shoulder girdle. And then shift your hips left. And and shift them back right. If you keep your back loose, your ribs loose, your hips should be able to shift back and forth here. Okay. Try to keep your legs straight and keep a little bit of quad engagement, like you're lifting your quad away from the kneecap. Quads just straighten the legs. So your glutes and hips shouldn't engage when your quads do. This is a good place to learn that. If glutes and hips engage, the hips will stop moving back and forth. You'll get locked and you'll end up wagging your butt around instead of actually moving through the hips. Okay? Now keep your blocks right under the shoulders. Drop the chest down into the shoulder girdle. Let your head hang. Take your hips further back. Bend both knees a little bit here. Unlock them and open out to the outer edge of both feet. Keep dropping the hips further back. Let your shoulder blades slide up the ribs. See how far back you can sit in this funny shape. You should feel a little in the IT band. Okay. Outer leg. Bring it back forward. There we go. Roll the hips to the front again. Walk your blocks back forward. How are we doing? Okay. Shift into the front foot. Spin onto the toes of your back foot. Hop that foot back longer to your usual lunge stance with the foot outside the block so it's more of that open movement stance. Bend the left knee a little. Drop your right hip further forward. Keeping the hip forward, just like what we did, rolling the hip. Straighten the leg back. You can't see mine because my pants, but quad is really engaged to firm up that thigh up. You get the back of the knee going up to the ceiling. At the same time, release the front of the hip. Drop the hips down below the ribs. Open the chest. The back leg is trying to straighten. It's not trying to bend. That's just quad. Don't use glute. I don't need your glute engaged. Okay, sit a little deeper. Start bending elbows a little bit. Control how deep you sit. Keep the back leg as straight as you can. Back foot's working hard. Good. Press through the front leg to come up. Roll the back hip open, staying high on your toes. You should not be on that foot.
Oh,
The front one? Oh, okay, you're good. Roll it forward. Bend the front knee. Keep the back leg strong. One straight line from inner heel to head. Start dropping down. Let your hips drop below the ribs. Arms stay straight, chest open. Good. And then bend the back knee, tap the floor. Don't change anything else, just straighten the back leg back. Good. Bend the back knee, tapping the floor. Straighten the leg back, keep the hip forward. Bring it back up. Good. Let's go in that isolation a little bit. Roll the hip open. Okay, roll the right hip forward, left hip back. We've done this before. Open up the chest. Left arm to the ceiling. I want to see space in the left hip crease. Left hip back. That's it. Left arm over your head. Keep dropping your left hip back like your left hip is wrapping into the right groin. Good. Then bring the arm back. Drop your heel back. Good. Bring it back up again. Left hip hugs back. Bottom shoulder blade comes down and pick your ribs up so they get pregnant on that top side. And then bring it back. You should feel a stretch out of the left hip. Bring it up out of the medial glute. Wrap the hip back. Right hip forward, left hip back. Really pushing through toes. Quad strong. And then bring it back. Good. Stay high on the back toes. Arm in line with the body. Roll right hip back, left shoulder forward. Find alignment there. Breathe. Bend the front knee a little bit. See if you can shift your weight over to that leg and find your balance enough to bring the arm back. Shoulders roll back, ribs are open, top of the head forward. And bring your hands to your blocks. Nice, got it. Good. All right, go ahead and bend the front knee a little deeper. Put the back knee down on the ground. Good. Stretch the hips back, sitting bones back. Try to keep your sitting bones back out from under the ribs. No doming in the upper back here. We will do that, but not right now. Okay? Bend the left knee a little bit left, roll to your outer foot. Keep the left hip dropping back. Now pick up low belly. Spread shoulder blades off the back. Drop the head down. Good. Then go the other way. Start by unrounding hips though. Take sitting bones back first. Then drop chest into shoulder girdle. Good. One more time. Low belly socks up. Pick up the ribs. Spread the shoulder blades. And then sitting bones back first. Try to feel that stretch in your IT band. Outside of the left hip all the way down to the knee and foot. Good. Bring the hips forward. Settling down into the stretch with the hip. Good. If you can go deeper, move your blocks or put your blocks on first level and bring elbows down to blocks. If you can go all the way down, bring elbows down to the mat. Put the top of your right foot on the floor. Okay? Make sure you're high enough so that you can tip your hips left and your left knee can open away from you. If that's not possible, elevate your body more. It should feel like a nice stretch, not like you're ripping your hip off. Just to point that out. Bring your left elbow forward. That's going to help open the serratus, open the ribs on the left side. At least I want it to. Bring the elbow as far forward as you can reach. Then drop your hips further back, left knee opening. Good job. Bring it back up. Hands to the mat. Tuck your back toes. Good. Straighten the back leg. Use that quad. Just that back leg lifts. That's it. Nothing else comes up. Pick up your ribs into the back body a little bit. Just the left leg back into plank. Good. Don't do it.
Not using it.
You're going to hurt that foot, woman. Bring your hips up and back. Go as high as you can in the shoulder girdle. So lift your ribs up. Serratus helping. Drop your head back. Stay high on your toes. And then sitting bones reach back while you're up there. Think of bringing your floating ribs toward the thighs. You'll feel pressure coming to the hands. Let the shoulders stretch right now. Good. Drop your heels slowly to the mat. Bend the knees. Come all the way down really slow. Sit back on the heels. Keep the arms way out in front. So I want you to feel your core pull back so your shoulder blades get slid up the side of the ribs. And put your forehead into the mat. Breathe. Two more. Exhale, open your heels a little bit. Knees pull the mat apart a little bit to make space in your hips more. Hands pull the mat apart. Let your elbows bend out to the sides just a touch as you pull the mat apart. Inhale, ribs open. And exhale, let everything release. Good. Bring it back, sitting on the heels.
That made a lot of space.
Say it again.
That made a lot of space.
The whole sequence or just the knees
Yeah,
open, heels
open and then open.
Good. All right, keep walking knees back till you got a little stretch in your feet. Let's turn the hands backwards. We'll stretch them out in between. Sit on the block. Good. All right, keeping the hands backwards. They're pretty close to the legs on purpose. I'm going to have you come up, and I want you to feel like you're going to face plant if you go too far forward so that you can't tuck, because that'll push you further forward and make you fall on your head. So hands are pretty far back. Even if you could do a bigger stretch way up here, keep the hands right in front of the knees, next to the knee. Okay. Not too far back. In front. Unlock your elbows. You have to be able to unlock your elbows. It will deepen the stretch because it deepens this crease. But you have to be able to do that. Okay, keeping the elbows unlocked. Lift your low belly up. Keep heels a touch open. Knees pull apart. Lift the belly up into the back body. Soften your back. Let your head drape. Keep the core a little bit lifted. Feel like those apple core abs, the middle abs, inside the core in all directions. Lift up out of the pelvic bowl and inside open ribs. Don't close your ribs as hard as you can, in other words. Okay, and then unround. Let the belly dump into the floor. Let the shoulder blades slide together behind your thoracic spine with the head hanging. Okay, pushing the feet a little bit. That should be quads flexing to straighten legs a little, pick up hips. Then keep elbows back, shoulders back. That should make your neck feel very long and engage your serratus. Lift your middle abs up around the back. Push through hands, spread shoulder blades off the back. Inhale here. Exhale and hold this position. Shoulder blades should be pulling back. Try to tip forward a little bit. Tip forward a little. Keep shoulders back. That's what keeps you from falling on the top of your head. Okay, now reach the hips back. Sitting bones back. But keep the ribs up. Shoulders back so you can tip forward further. Keep shoulders back. And then slowly sit back toward the heels. Good. Suck the belly back a little bit. Pelvic bowl will come back. Push through hands, spreading shoulders. Shoulders down, though, away from the ears. Top of the head forward. Roll back through your right hand. You get to keep core. You don't get to squeeze hips. Hips are sitting. Roll back down through the right hand. Roll back through the left hand. Roll back down. Roll back in your right hand. Slide it out in front. Keeping fingers back. Touching the hand. Let it go as far out in front as you can reach within reason with elbows still bent. Drop the elbow. Core can be engaged again, hips cannot. Let the hips go. Now you're going to reach forward through the hand. You've got to let core disengage a little bit to get your arm to reach forward. You do not have to flatten your hand. At the same time, wherever your hand gets to, it's fine. Suck the ribs back. I want to see that shoulder blade come off the back on the right side. Good. And then roll back through the hand. Spreading the serratus should deepen the stretch in your hand. And come to knuckles. Good. Roll back to the left hand. Keep the fingers bending back. Once the hand stretch, elbow loose. Okay, slide the hand out in front. Actually, first flatten out your right hand so you've got support. Okay. Roll through your hand. You're going to have to let core go a little bit to let you come forward. Once you're in your stretch with your hand, slide the shoulder blades back, or the ribs back, shoulder blades apart. Open up that hand more. And roll back through the fingers. And then come all the way back to knuckles. Both hands on knuckles. Don't tuck fingers all the way and keep them flat. And pick your knees up. Now we go. arms inside the legs, really opening up the knees, hands out in front. Elbows close to the mat or touching. And then see if you can drop hips further back. Heels don't have to touch the mat. Don't drop so far back you can't come back up again. Let your head drop down. Breathe. Now press through those feet, and I want you to feel your quads engaged to lift your hips up a little bit. Pick the butt up, and then let it drop back down. Release your low back, release hips. One more time, pick hips up a little bit. Lift your low belly, and drop back down. Come high onto the toes again. Hands out in front, bend elbows till they hover an inch above the floor. Knees hug in on your upper arms. Slide the knees down the arms to the elbow tips. Elbows pull out on knees, knees pull in on elbows. Press through the hands, pick your ribs up in the shoulder girdle, and then drop back down, shoulder blades together. Pick ribs up into the shoulder girdle, drop back down, shoulder blades together. Good. One more, pick ribs up into shoulder girdle. Slide your knees up the arms, straighten the arms. Walk your hands back. Very nice. How are we doing? Okay. Flatten the hands again. Use quads to pick your hips up. Put the knees into the back of the upper arms. They should be right near the armpits. Okay, now I want you to tip forward a little. If you need to bring hands back further, you can. Find your spot. You're going to tip forward, so you're putting some weight from knees into upper arms. And then shoulders back. Really plug your shoulder blades back from serratus. Feel how that pushes your hips back and starts tipping you further forward. Feel the spine get long. If you want to come up, you can tip further forward and pick the feet up off the ground. You can push into straighter arms. Find your breath wherever you're at. Good. Bring it back down. And bring the hips all the way up. Drop the heels to the mat. Drop your head. Good. Tense your fingers out in front of you. Come as high as you can up onto the heels. Try to pick your toes up off the mat too. Good. Now pick your right hip up. Keep the legs straight. Hip goes up higher. That's it. Bring it back down. Bring your left hip up. Keep the legs straight. Good. Bring it back down. Now, keeping your left leg straight, lower your right heel to the mat. Don't let the leg bend. Bring it back up. So that's a hip movement, right? Lower your left heel to the mat. Keep the right leg straight. Or high, anyway. Bring it back up. You're staggering hips. Stagger hips. Lower right hip. Bring it back up. Lower left hip. Good. Bring it back up. Lower both heels. Drop your hips back as far as you can behind the heels. Drop your head through the arms. Try to get your head past the upper arms. Put a baby bend in your knees. Roll to the outer feet just a touch, lifting inner arches. Toes should grab the ground a little when you do that. Don't pick up the toes. And try to hug your right hip further back, straightening that leg back a little bit. It doesn't have to go all the way straight. And if ribs pick up and your back rounds a lot to straighten, I don't want that. Bend knee. Go to the left side. Hug your left hip back. I don't care how much it straightens. I care that you feel the hip dropping back away from ribs. And bring it back. Good. Walk your hands forward again. Good. Come high onto the toes again. Drop the head through the arms. Hips reach back. Hands push forward. Good. And then walk to the top of the mat. Grab your blocks. How are we doing? Nothing hurts. No worries. Side two. Hands on the blocks. Let's start with the feet back a little ways. Right foot forward outside the blocks with a little turnout, like we do when we do lizard. And then step your left foot back and open. It doesn't go back as far as it does. It's not that way back here for the lunge. It's out to the side. You're maybe a leg's length between the feet diagonally from one side of the mat to the other. It's not a big stance. If you end up feeling like you have to lift that back heel up, it's too long a stance. Okay? Now drop the chest down into shoulder girdle and pull shoulder blades back away from ears. That should be serratus. Let's play with that. Slide shoulders up toward the ears. Slide shoulders back away from the ears. Good. Slide them up toward the ears. Slide them back away from the ears. Last one, slide them up. Now slide them back just a little, just enough to feel your serratus. And then use your serratus to hold ribs in place there. Don't squish the ribs back. Drop your hips further back. Hips go back to that left foot more. Good. Then bring it forward. So your serratus are engaged, but not as tight as they have to possibly have to be. You feel like your serratus are supporting the ribs. Roll back and forth. Roll forward. Get your spine longer. Think of a slinky getting stretched out through your core. And then roll back. Keep the slinky long. Roll forward. You should go natural rolling through the hips here. Roll back. Good. Roll the left hip forward. Body goes forward. Your spine stays in the middle. You don't lean right and left on this. Roll back. Keep the legs straight if you can. You'll feel the hips better. Roll forward. Roll back. Let's add a little bit with the feet. Roll to the outer arch of your back foot. Feel your toes grab the mat, lifting inner foot. Straighten that back leg. Feel the quad more. Think of flattening the leg back to feel your quad lift away from the knee. Then suck your belly up, pushing through the feet. Lift your ribs up, pushing through the hands. And then let that go. Drop the chest back down, ribs back down. Now roll to the inside of the back foot. Roll to the outside of the front foot. Roll forward in the hips. Body goes forward. Okay, staying forward. Roll to the outer back foot. That's really hard. Your hip wants to drop back. Don't let it. There's supposed to be opposition there. Foot pulling back while hips going forward. Good. Then roll back. Okay, now just roll back and forth through the hips a couple times, fairly freely. Keep the ribs dropped into the shoulder girdle. Keep the neck long. Breathe. Keep your back soft. Don't let your back lift up out of the hips. Okay, we're going to end with your left hip forward. Your right hip feels like it's rolling back. Roll to the outer arch of your right foot. Unlock the right knee. Don't bend it a lot. Just unlock it. Open the knee a little bit more. Feel that hip drop further back. Now straighten your back leg. Feel that quad engage, but keep the hip forward. Ribs go forward and drop down. You should feel a stretch in that IT band on the right leg. Breathe. Good. Try to reflatten the foot without closing the hip. And then roll back. Good. Walk your blocks out to the left. A little bit forward as you go left, so your spine has room to be long. Okay. Keep the ribs softly in the shoulder girdle. They're not dumped as far as they can go, but they're certainly not up. You got to release the back and let your ribs drop. Shift your hips to the right, forward, I guess, and then shift back. Good. Shift forward, feel your feet move in you, feel your hips move in you. Don't use your upper back or your ribs to drag the hips around. So it's not back pulling them around. Let the back release. Good. Shift back and forth a few more times. Try to feel that middle part of your back between your rib cage and pelvis, not just the front of the body. The back is soft there too. When your left hip comes forward, your left ribs drop a little. When your right hip comes back, your right ribs drop a little. Soft in the back. Keep the ribs supported. Okay. Now, you can turn the back heel in a little if you need to. Bend the back knee open. Then bend the right knee open. Sit into this funny little squat. Sitting bones back further. Both front of your hips should be very open. Try to roll to both outer feet, lifting your arches. Shoulders back, top of the head forward. Breathe. Good. How are we doing? Good. Re-straighten the legs. Good. Shift your hips back forward. Left hip dropping. Walk your blocks back. Very nice. Okay. Go ahead and lift your back foot. Hop it back to a fuller lunge. Wiggle it back. Wiggle the heel back and forth. Or get your foot further back. Okay. Turn your right toes a little out. Bend the right knee. Keep your left hip forward, right knee open. Straight back leg. So that's that quad anchoring back. Toes and feet are going to have to work a lot. Drop the hip down with quad strong. Good. And bring it back up. Roll the left hip open. Same movement we were just making. Roll your left hip forward, ribs long. Bend the front knee. Keep that quad strong. Their quads both engaged. This one's engaged too. Pushing the floor away, supporting your weight. Hips drop below ribs, open chest. Keep that back quad strong, and then bring it up. Roll the hips open. Roll it back forward. One more time. Come to neutral if you roll the hip real far forward. The back quad being engaged will help you. Shoulders back, drop chest into shoulder girdle, start bending the front knee. Back quad strong, hips drop under ribs. Good, you can bend elbows a little here. And bring it back up. Good. Roll your hips open. Last time, you're going to roll left hip forward, right hip back. Bring your right arm up. Open the chest. I want space here in the inside of this right hip. Lift your low belly up. I don't want a big crease there. Bring your arm overhead. Your bottom shoulder blade comes down to pick ribs up. Right hip hugging back. Then bring the arm back. Drop the heel back. Stretch. Good. Bring it back up. Hug the right hip back. Right arm overhead. Bring the arm back. Heel back. Two more, pick it up, right hip back. Good, arm back, heel back. Last one, pick it up. Good, arm back, heel back. Now bring the heel back up. Arm in line with the spine. Left hip back, right shoulder and hip forward. Bend the front knee. Shift your weight. I see it's too long on the slide. Shift your weight a little into that front foot and see if you can find your balance there. Both quads strong. Lift your low belly away from quads. Shoulders can roll back if you keep the belly lifted. And bring hands back to the blocks. Nice. How are we doing? Okay. Go drop the back knee slowly to the mat, and then straighten the back leg just with back leg. Nothing else lifts. So don't lift hips. Keep hips low. Bend the knee, disengaging quad, then re-engage quad to straighten leg, reach your hip back. Bend the knee, straighten leg, reach that hip back. Good, bend the knee, put it down. Okay, either come to first level on blocks, or get rid of them if you know you're deep enough. Come down to elbows, either on blocks or on the mat. Good. Okay, keeping elbows on the floor, and put the top of the left foot on the mat. Bring your right elbow forward. The idea is to open the ribs, open the serratus on that side. So you can see this should come up, elbow forward. Then drop the knee and hip open. Okay, you can let the foot lift a little. Don't go too far in the foot. The foot's got to work for some opposition, going back to the ground a little bit, but open the hip. Top of the head forward, pick your ribs up a little, low belly up. Push into the back, top of your shin and foot to engage the quad of the back leg. Lift your low belly. Breathe. Drop the ribs back down. Bring the elbow back, bring the hands back. How are we doing? Tuck the back toes. Push into the back foot, straighten the legs. Pick your ribs up into the shoulder girdle. Push through the quad a little, step the foot back. Good. Pick your hips up high here. Maybe you can even roll to the tips of the toes. Suck the belly up higher, pick your ribs up higher. Roll all the way over the toes if you can. Bring the hips up and back deeper. Whether you're over the toes or not, hips up and back. Drop the head down. Come back forward, especially if you're on the toes. Roll the toes back. Come back, slowly bend the knees. Sit all the way back. Keep your hands pretty far out in front. And spread shoulder blades off the back. That means your core is drawing back. Heels can open a little, knees pull open. Sit back as deep as you can with the belly pulling back. Drop your head into the mat. Breathe. Go ahead and put the tops of the feet on the ground. Come out of the foot stretch. Sit a little further back. Bring your hands back behind you. Tops of the hands on the mat. Practice this first. You're going to keep the forehead into the mat. Pressing into the tops of the feet, which is just a little quad engagement. Roll up on your forehead to the top of the head, crown of the head. Just get used to putting some weight there. Lift the shoulders up away from the ears. Back of the hands can stay pressing down into the mat. Then slowly rolling back, slide the hands back on the mat as you roll back. Okay, do that again. Just getting used to having pressure on the head. Heels a little open. So we're purposely actually sickling the foot just to stretch outer leg and to get you out of outer hips a little bit. Low belly lifts a little. Press into the tops of the shin, the whole shin. That's your quad. Lift the belly up. Roll all the way to the top of the head. Hands dragging on the mat. Lift shoulders up. That's your serratus. Pull the shoulder blades up, away from the ears. Chin in more so you can roll more to the back of the head. Tuck the belly up a little bit. Good. If you feel stable here, bring your hands up, interlace the fingers, and bring them up and back over your head. If you can't keep palms together, open hands apart, that's fine. If you, when you bring the hands back, keep your chin in. Think of locking the chin to the sternum. At the same time, release the hips, drop sternum toward chin. Breathe, roll your shoulders back more. Slowly bring it down, heavy on the head. And come all the way down. Let your arms wrap around the body if they will, shoulders dropping. Breathe. Good. Release the hands. Okay. Bring your head a little bit further forward on the mat, pushing into the tops of the feet. Place the head on the mat. Interlace the fingers behind your head, but don't cup the head tight. Your hands should be flat, so the hands should be parallel to the wall in front of you. So that won't fit around your head, okay? It's a boundary. It is not necessarily for your head to roll into as far as you can. Right now, I want you on the top of the head. Tuck your toes. Maybe you just stay here. Maybe this is all you can do. Elbows should be in your peripheral vision, and you should be able to lift shoulders away from your ears first. If you can't find that, do not come off the knees. The shoulders lift up to engage serratus. Okay? Once you feel that, then you can lift hips. Walk your feet in a little bit. A little pressure will come to your head, but keep serratus lifted. Okay. Find that sweet spot on your head. Try to drop the heels down. Keep shoulders up. Find core. Okay. Come up high onto the toes. Maybe even roll over the toes. Keep shoulders lifted. If you've got a headstand practice, you can start trying to pull the feet up a little. Shoulders are away from ears, wherever you're at. Slowly bring it down. All the way to the knees. Good. Top to the feet of the mat and way back. Bring your hands back behind you again. Top to the hands to the mat. Let your shoulders straight. Good. Good. Bring your hands to the mat. Slowly come up. Spot one spot on the floor. Make sure you're not dizzy.
Oh, yeah. Okay, use the pressure in the head a little bit.
Find that sweet spot.
All right, good. We're all going to be inverted first.
Okay. Grab your blocks. I'm going to come to the middle. You don't have to, but I think it's easier to see what I'm doing.
I have to mirror you, which means I'll probably say left for right and right for left.
All right. So you face me. I want your blocks under your shoulders, and you're going to bring your right foot a little bit. Let's see, across the left, right behind your left block. Let's see. I'll do the opposite. So I'm going to mirror you. Right foot behind left block, and then try to step your left foot back behind you to the back of the mat, way past the block. So really open that up, guys. So I want one foot at the front of the mat, your right foot's at the front of the mat, behind your left block. Your left foot's at the back of the mat, way past the block. Or at least as far as you can. Good. Bend the front knee. Try to bring your hips over to the front knee's block. So what is that? That's your left. Open up the knee toward the midline. Roll a little to your outer foot, but not much. You should feel some IT now. So roll open the knee. Okay, re-straighten that leg. Try to roll your hips open a little bit, keeping your feet mostly flat. And then rolling back forward. Do it again. Bend the front knee. Hips go over to your left. Open the knee, back the other way.
Okay, feel that outer hip?
Yeah? And then push through the front leg. Try to keep the legs straight. Bring both hips back, or fairly straight. Drop your head forward. Serratus pull back to keep you from falling down. And then bring it forward. Try to bend both knees now. So you bend into both. Straighten just your back leg. Bend the front knee further. Bend to both again. Straighten just your front leg. Into the back thigh. Bend to both. Bring it back out of the stretch. Good. Let's switch. Take your left foot across behind the right block. Right foot reaches back and as far across as you can get it toward the back of the mat.
Guess that's sideways for me, but
You want to have your feet staggered. They're not on the same plane right now.
okay. Eventually maybe.
All right. So let's start by trying to bend both knees.
Good. You guys feel your hips? Pretty straight.
Okay. Take your hips away from the straight leg, bending the front knee. Open the front knee toward the midline. Think of bringing your left shoulder down and your right shoulder up. Really opening up the entire, this is your right side, from the ribs all the way down. Okay, re-straighten that front leg. Good, drop the hips back. Come down forward, try to bend both knees. Straighten just the back leg, that's pretty much what we just did. Open the front knee more, take your hips over. Think of your hip being in line with the front heel, back hip in line with front heel. Good, press into the foot again. Go the other way. Try to bend the back leg. Re-straighten. Think of trying to turn the hips open. Like you're going to push that front hip forward. Roll the back hip open. And back to the front.
Good. Feel the hips there?
Bring it back to the middle. Now hold the feet, or take the feet pretty far apart. Heels a little wider than toes. You're flat though.
Good.
Okay, take the blocks pretty far out in front of you. Think of a really wide leg down dog. Okay, when the blocks are far enough forward, drop chest back. Try to drop the head down below the level of the arms. Bend your knees a little bit there. Breathe. Your head can touch the floor, you can let it. And then bring the body back up. Bring your blocks back a little bit. Not too far, but enough to support a little bit of your weight. Drop your chest down into the shoulder girdle. So really let shoulder blades slide together.
Try.
Then bend bend your knees a little bit. Keep the belly dropping toward the mat. So you're purposely trying to let pelvic bowl drop. Back is released, but you're hanging in the middle. Okay? Now bend the knees a little deeper. Take hips further back. See how far back you can take the hips like that without tucking tail under. The minute tail tucks, you're pretty much done. See if you can bend knees a little deeper there. Keep dropping the chest. Keep your serratus pulling down around the ribs for this one. Should be working. Re-straighten the legs. Come back up. Good. Little different shape. Blocks pretty much right under shoulders now. Spread shoulder blades off the back. Pick up your low belly. Turning tail under. Bend your knees forward. Literally. Forward. Go. Knees go forward. Now drop the left knee in. Roll to the inner left foot. Fill out the front of the hip. Bring it back. Drop the right knee in and down. You should feel that hip roll forward and down. Bring it back. Keep low belly lifted out of it. Drop the left knee in and down. Bring it back. Drop the right knee in and down. Feel that hip roll forward. The other hip rolls back. Bring it back. Middle back has to be soft. Both knees pull in. Lift your low belly up. Spread the serratus. Spread the shoulder blades. Suck the belly up higher. Good. Now take sitting bones back. Unrounding. Good. How we doing? Pick low belly up. Same thing. Round it under. Keep knees drawn in. Soften the back. Good. Take sitting bones back. Unrounding. Once you're back there, then open your knees. Good. And heel toe it in. You feeling hips there? Yeah. It's kind of a can't miss it, I hope. And you should feel feet, outer lower legs, lots of other good stuff. Good. All right, let's grab pads if you need them. And bring blocks with you in case you're going to need them. You can bring your purple block and your cork blocks to the back of your mat. Put your knee pads outside your mat. You want knees to go wide here, so if you have that range of motion, put it there. Okay. And then let's grab your orange bolster. We'll add a little bit of extra shoulder stretching too. We'll put this one in a little while. Don't start out with the orange bolster. Leave it out in front of you first. If you know your hips are really tight and you need a boundary to release, you can bring your red ball nearby. And we'll show you what to do when we get there, but you may not need it. It's up to you. Okay, so you're going to come down to the mat with elbows. Forearms, I guess I should say. Bring your knees really wide. Hopefully you can go a little wider than that. Not hopefully, but you can go wider than that, go wider than that. Okay, bring the tops of the feet to the floor. So a lot of times we do frog with your feet turned out. I want you to go the other way. Tops of the feet to the mat. Heels rolling out. It's almost like you're trying to make a circle with the lower legs. Toes almost touching. They don't touch, but they're coming toward each other. So it's a different rotation in the hip. It's going to help you open the front of the hip a little bit more because it's basically another spiral. Okay, then your elbows should be about 2.5, maybe 3 feet in front of the knees. It's a really long stance. Good. And I want you to drop your chest down into shoulder girdle. Let your head hang. You can think your chin is hanging. Let the belly hang a little deeper. If your knees can go wider, let them. Then start sitting back in the hips a little bit. But just a little. Don't kill yourself right now. Push down into the whole top of the shin. That's going to pop your hips up a little bit, and it should engage your quads. You don't need glutes for that, just quads. And then lift your low belly up. Then push your elbows, spread the serratus, spread the shoulder blades off the back. Drop the head, breathe. Exhale, lift the belly, keep pressure in the tops of the feet. Don't let that go. Now unround from the hips. Pubic bone unrounds back, belly drops to the mat, ribs drop back, down again. Good. So it's like you're almost in a frog and you're still doing cat-cow, but nicely and happily. No tucking. If you try to tuck here and squeeze your sitting bones together, you just might as well rip your own hip flexors off and your adductor magnets and everything else that's in there. Okay, here we go. Sit back a little with hips. Push into the tops of the feet. That's what lifts your pelvic bowl up and takes you out of the stretch. That's quads. That's not being stretched right now, so that shouldn't hurt a lot, not much. Okay, once you have that pressure, then you can pick up low belly and start pressing through your elbows, and if your hips release, the pelvic bowl can drop back. Okay, I'm going to scale on this a little bit. Now I want you to unround just the lumbar spine, the lower half. The ribs can stay supported and up a little. Start unrounding the lower half. Belly coming toward the mat. Think of your low belly still pulling out of the front of the hips when you bring it down. Good there? Good. Okay, shift forward a little bit, staying low. Keep it supported. Think of your low belly pulling the ribs forward and the shoulders up and open. Good. Keep low belly engaged. Once you're forward, all the way forward, And lean over your arms, top of the head forward, push through the elbows to pick your ribs up now. Hips don't help. Suck the belly forward out of the hips. Let your glutes release. Let your hips drop into their stretch. Okay. Then start sitting back a little bit. And then same thing, unround. Reach the feet width going back. Think about scraping the ribs and belly on the floor as you sit down. Okay, once you get to a place where you can put your forehead down, go ahead and put it down. Try to put your chest on the ground if you can reach the chest to the floor. If your chest is not touching, bring your forehead forward and walk your elbows forward until your chest can touch the floor. If your chest can't touch the floor, you either need to support hips with the ball, or put the bolster under the chest, or the ball under the chest. You can put the ball under the chest too. If you're going to put the ball under the chest, it goes under the sternum so your belly can dry. Now, what you're trying to learn here is to pull your low belly away from the front of the hips. So I don't want to see a big crease like this, where I could only fit a piece of paper in your hips. I want your low belly to come forward away from that. Yeah, just feel that a little bit? Yeah. Good. Breathe. Sure. All right, go ahead and bring it up with your elbows. Bring the knees back in. Little break. How are we doing? Good. You guys feel the difference between keeping that front of your hip flexor really holding in that stretch and getting some space there? There's a big difference. Holding against that stretch in your hip flexor is just bad news. You can take your knees as wide as you think you can and still sit back between your feet. Okay, so it's a very wide leg, cross and wide leg hero's pose. Okay, your hips have to touch down. If they don't touch down, that's why we brought blocks with us. Put a block long ways between the legs, between the feet, and you have to be able to sit with pressure. You need to feel the bones in the base of the legs, the sitting bones at the bottom of your pelvic, at your bottom of the pelvis. Yeah, good? If you put a block under your hips, you need a block for each hand behind you. Okay? Now, if you keep feeling knees, tops of the feet, something's really bothering you here, prop it up higher, higher, higher until that's not bothering you anymore. Okay? The higher you prop it, the more you need to bring your hands up. So you're on 2 blocks there. You're going to need 2 blocks in the back. All right. And you got to work in purple.
Now, what does it mean if the tops of my feet hurt?
That means they're tight and they're getting pressed really hard into the floor because your quads and your hip flexors are trying to come out of that stretch. So they're pushing, right? Does that make sense? So if you feel a lot of pressure, the question was, what if you feel a lot of pressure in your feet? If you think about it, there's a stretch happening here. Both in hips, quads, tops of the lower leg, tops of the feet. If anything in that line doesn't like the stretch, it's trying to push out of the stretch, which is the pressure you feel on the feet. So again, elevate the hips, unless it's a stretch that feels, good, or maybe somewhat good in a bad way or whatever. It should feel good though.
Somewhat masochistic.
Yeah. All right, now from here, I want you to bring your sitting bones apart on your surface, manually, actually spread them so you can feel space there. And then hands on the legs, just resting. And then bring your upper body forward. Feel your knees very softly push down into the mat. Tops of the feet can too to engage quads a little. And then suck your low belly back. Let your low back release so pelvic bowl can come back. So why do I say upper body forward? If you lean back and your upper body goes back, hips have to go forward or you're going to fall back, right? Just keep upper body forward. Think of your sitting bones as pushing the mat under you. And low belly sucking back. Round your low belly. There, that. You know that? Okay, keep low belly lifting in and up out of the pelvic bowl into open ribs. Don't crush the ribs. Then feel like your sitting bones are very softly rolling the floor back. Don't use your low back for that. Use your low belly lifted. Only roll forward a little, just for contrast. Then roll sitting bones under. Release the back. Think of sitting the sternum down into your low back. And then roll forward. Good. One more time. Low belly sucks out of the hips. Good. Stay like that. Bring your hands back to your blocks. Pick up your hips by pushing into tops of the feet. Again, if you've already got a ton of pressure there and a big stretch, you're probably not going to want to. But you press into the tops of the feet. That's a little bit of quads. And you pull back in the pelvic bowl with low belly to bring tail under. If you try to squeeze your glutes and push your hips forward, you're going to stay arched in your low back. That's not going to be it. You got to find low belly and pull it under. Okay, hands back behind you. I want your hands back far enough so that your shoulders are in front of your hands. You're going to push a decent amount into the hands to stay upright, to support your body. and then roll your shoulders forward. Stay there, keeping shoulders forward, waiting for the back to round and release. So if your back's real stiff, you get higher, roll shoulders forward more until you can start softening the back into a round, like yours. I don't want to see that arc in your low back. Bring the hand, you need your hands up higher. So grab your glute blocks, yep.
I actually need my butt up higher.
Okay, maybe you need everything up higher. That's good. That's right here.
It's excruciating to my feet.
Okay, there's no excruciating, nothing
Right.
should be excruciating. Alright, so you may need a blue block. Okay, now
Thank
get rid of
you,
the other
Jesus.
set of blue blocks. Get rid of the other set of blue blocks for your hands. Stack up both sets of blue blocks for your hands. I want your hands higher than your hips. Okay, I don't know if it's too high or not, but try it.
Jesus.
Now tailbone under. Okay, now shoulders forward, keep pressuring your hands. Now let your back round. Yes, your back won't round because you're stretching your quads and hip flexors are so tight. As soon as your back rounds, it brings pelvic bowl back and makes that stretch bigger.
It's
That
it's bigger here.
Yeah, good. Now keep the pressure in the hands so your shoulders are forward. And then I want you to lean over into the right hand, bend your right elbow out to the right a little bit, reach the left knee away, just soft. Notice if your glute is very engaged, let that go, and sink your low belly. Roll the left shoulder forward, right shoulder back, now twisting a little. And come back to the center. Lean into your left hand, move all the way left. Right arm can even straighten to bring you left. Keeping the left elbow wide. Roll your right shoulder forward, reach the right knee away a little bit, suck the belly back. Come back through center, keep shoulders high, keep pressure in hands so back can round and release back. Good. More, get it forward, come forward.
Flexor stroke. Okay, good.
Bring it over to the right, big one, okay? And then try to roll the right shoulder back now, left shoulder forward, opening right ribs, closing left, twist. Bring it back, and then come to the left, last one. Start with left shoulder forward, left elbow wide, leaning left. Then roll the left shoulder back, right shoulder forward, twisting. And come back to the center. Good. Push into your hands to come all the way up. Good. Sitting those back and apart. How are we doing? Good.
How we doing?
Everybody good yet? All right, let's finish stretching hands here. We're going to put the back of the right hand into the mat. So fingers come towards you. Try to put the back of the hand down. Spread from thumb to pinky. Other hand can support some of your weight. Bend your elbow out to the side and then pull it back. Roll the shoulder back. Try to completely outer spiral so your bicep faces forward. If that's not going to happen all the way, then take some weight out of it. That's fine. Once you've got that, start bending the elbow back. Let the base of the hand lift up off the floor. Good. If you want to suck back with something, it better be your core, not squeezing the glutes and hips. Roll back forward. So the reason you want to suck back is you don't want to put all your weight into it, right? That's fine, but make sure it's here. And roll back again. Roll all the way out of it. One quick counter stretch. Fingers catch the mat way out in front. Bending fingers back a little, elbow low. Roll to wherever you can, don't kill yourself. Roll back. Open and close a couple times. Put it down. Other hand, flip the back of the hand to the mat. So fingers to you, thumb to pinky wide. Outer spiral the arm. So bicep faces forward, shoulder rolls back. It has to be soft for shoulder to roll back. And try to bend the elbows straight back behind the wrist. Unlock your thumb, keep it wide. Roll back forward again. Do it again. Bend the elbow back. Try to bend it low behind the hand and wrist. Keep the belly sucked back. Roll it forward. This time you're going to roll all the way out of it. Come forward for that little counter stretch. Catch fingers. Roll through the hand to wherever it kind of feels good. Roll it back. Open and close the hand. Good. Sitting bones under. Go back rounding. Last one here. Fingers facing back. We will not be here for very long. Hands should go further back than they did the last time. Shoulders roll forward. Bend your elbows. Stay high enough so your back can start to round. Think of lifting the knees so your low back can round. They don't have to keep them lifted, but that should help you round the low back. Then let the knees drop. Keep the low belly sucked back a little. Okay, keep shoulders rolled forward. Bend the elbows back against that forward roll in your shoulders. And if you get done with the stretch, by the way, you can have your feet out in front. That wouldn't be the way you get them out of there. Okay, but you can have your feet out in front. To get out of there, normal people would probably come forward and then kind of walk it around or whatever.
As opposed to yogi.
Whatever. Yeah. But so anyways, if you're done with the stretch of the legs, you can bring the feet out in front. Now roll the shoulders forward. Keep that pressure in your hands so the shoulders are high. The neck is long. And then be patient until your back will round into the space you're giving it. Now lean over into your left hand, left elbow open. Don't straighten your legs right away either when you come out of that stretch. Bring your right arm across. Good. Keep pressure in your left hand so you're high. Trust the hand so your back can release. Widen the right elbow to open that shoulder blade and then roll your left shoulder back, twisting. Top of the head forward, suck the belly back a little deeper, and then roll the shoulder back forward. Let the ribs drop back. One more time. Roll the shoulder back, open up the ribs, right elbow forward. Push into your left hand, chin a little higher. Push into your left hand. There you go. Now let your back drop back and round. Top of the head forward. Good. Lower belly sucking back. Feel the difference there? Good. Roll it back forward. Good. Bring your right hand up. You guys are doing awesome. Bring your left arm across. I know it's big hips, big thighs, big knees, everything. Roll the shoulder forward to start. Keep pressure in your hand. Try to feel your left rib sink. Let the whole back soften first. Then roll the shoulder up, back, twisting, top of the head forward, left elbow wide to bring that shoulder blade wide. Think of sitting into your right shoulder blade a little. Let it come up to your ear a little bit to let the ribs in the back release, and then bring it down. Good. And roll back forward. Just one more here and we're going to come out of this. Roll that right shoulder up, back. Sit into it for a second. If you want to let the back release, then pick it up by pushing down. And bring it back forward. Good. All right. Sitting bones back and apart. Good. Which side wants to come out of this more? Right. Everybody's right. You're right. That's your left.
That's all right.
One left, one right. I don't know. Flip a coin. We'll do left today. We'll do right next time. Lean over. You're being punished. I don't know. I'm just kidding. Okay. So to bring your leg out of it, if you have to, you can come up and then pick the foot up out of it. Or you can lean into the other hand, the opposite hand, and pull your left foot out of it by holding the ankle and pulling it out. Okay? Wherever you're at, bring your right knee in. Left foot should be next to you. If you're on the floor for that sequence, you may be able to be on the floor for this sequence. You may need a block under your hips. Bring your body inside the leg, coming forward. So I don't know if you can see the knee behind me. The leg is outside the body. Bring your arms out to the sides. Your left elbow pins your left shin down. Actually, your upper arm does. Push into the top of the right foot to lift up. That's quad. Roll that left shoulder back to pin the hip. Up and back. Air it out a little bit. Be high. Top of the head forward. Keeping shoulders back. Let your ribs drop into shoulder girdle a little bit more. Breathe. Okay? You want to wiggle that left foot out of there and pick up the foot. You can. Lean into your left arm a little more into a groin stretch. Opening knees apart. You can bring the right hand to the low back. Really keep the shoulders pulling back from Serratus. Breathe. Spread the toes. And bring the hand back to the mat. Bring the foot back to the mat. Good. How are we doing? Okay. Bring that leg across. You can use your block for balance on the other side. Try to bring that leg up into half lotus, so as high up as you can. Drop the knee forward. Bring your body toward that leg, even if you're up high. Okay. You can use blocks or whatever under the hand. Go the other way. Go the other way for the knee. Yep. Trying to drop the knee below the foot. Good. Breathe. Then bring it back up. Good. Bring that foot out of it. Okay. And then you're either going to lean over, bring the other foot out of it, and then one that was just out, back in for side two. Or if you need to, you can come up, pick the foot up, sit back down. Okay. Either way, however you get there, you end up with your right foot out of the stretch and your left foot into the stretch. Okay. Bring your right arm inside the right leg. Try to come forward. That requires your ribs to be willing to come past the muscles in the hip, which takes time. Bring your right elbow back, or out to the side, I should say. Your upper arm is plugging the shin back. Your left hand out to the side. Push into the top of the left foot to lift your hips. That should be quad lifting you. And then roll the shoulder back to air out the hip a little more. That should plug right hip back as ribs go forward, top of the head forward, drop into shoulder girdle. Maybe that's where you live. Feeling the opposition between pelvic bowl back, ribs forward, opening the core. Or you can wiggle that right foot out of there, pick the foot up. If you do that, bend your right elbow deeper to the right. Open the chest more, open the hips more, open the groin more. Maybe you can bring the left hand onto the back and breathe. Good job, guys. Bring it back. Bring the foot back. Have a seat. Okay. Now maybe you need a block under your hand for balance, especially if you're up high. Bring the foot across as high to the leg as you can comfortably or with the stretch. and drop the knee forward, softly, don't kill yourself. And you may just stay here and try to lift the belly in and back away from the knee. Or come forward and see if you can have the knee drop down below the level of the foot. Come toward the knee that's in the air. You're going to use your body weight to bring it down. Good. You okay in the knee there? No? Good. Perfect. Breathe. And bring it back up. Okay. Take that foot out and stretch. Take your other foot out too. Yay. Hit the round blocks. Come to sitting on the floor. Good job. All right. Go ahead and grab your orange bolster and sit at the back of the mat, facing forward. Legs out to the side. Trying to go for your 180-degree pose. This is not your favorite pose if you need it. And you need it. A lot of people say, I can't do this one. I get thrown back. You're thrown back because a very large sheeted muscle, your adductus magnus in here, is staying closed and pushing you back. Okay, so that's why we have this here. It's something to hold on to, right? Okay, now if your knees are really high off the ground, try to engage your quads a little bit just to flatten the back of the knee out. Don't flex the feet hard. That's not quad. That's the top of the lower leg. Let that go. Just quad. Holding on to your bolster, keeping your upper body a little bit forward. Try to let your low belly roll the lumbar spine back. Okay, so that's where your legs want you to be anyway. Now see if you can engage quads, which all should be is quads. Not hips, glutes, hip flexors, anything else, just a little bit of quads. That should flatten the backs of the legs down to the mat, push them in the air. Okay? Keeping a little bit of quads. Low belly lifts out of pelvic wall, open ribs a little bit. Just a little, don't use your back. Okay, and then let quads go, keep low belly. Now I want just your left quad to engage. That's it. Let it go. Just your other quad to engage. It's actually easier to isolate them when you do it without the whole thing. Let it go. Now both quads. Just the quads. I should not see popping up. I should not see glutes. Let them go. Suck the belly back a little bit more. Find quads. Roll legs forward. Keep low belly lifting inside open ribs and come as far over your bolster as you can. How we doing? Okay. From here, rolling the legs a little bit forward, try to find your quads again, flattening the backs of the knees down. All the quads do is straighten the legs. That's it. They just pull here to straighten legs. So that's all you should be doing, not squeezing glutes. Then use serratus to pull the shoulders a little bit back and feel low belly lift up inside open ribs. Don't close ribs hard. Don't stiffen the back. Think of your collarbone and the back of the neck going forward as parallel lines. Think of your pubic bone rolling back. Hips getting light maybe. Okay, then go ahead and roll the legs back. Suck the belly back, let your tail roll under. And come back into it. Roll the legs forward, lift your low belly, come long and forward again. That's it. Okay, let's go ahead and come up a little. Bring your, let's see, this is my left, your right elbow across. I don't want the elbow close to you. I want the ribs to open on this side. So bring the elbow a little bit away. I don't care how far across it goes. I want this side to be open. Bring your other hand on top of it. Okay, you're going to push the top hand into the bottom hand. Lifting the ribs up a little bit. Bottom elbow gets pushed into the bolster. But I also want your ribs long. So bring that bottom shoulder forward a little. Slide it up the side of the ribs. That's it. And then breathe. Start by bringing your chest toward the hands a little. Picking your ribs up higher by pushing the hand. Good. And then see if you can rock back away from hands a little bit. Chin back, neck back. Opening up that left side more. Good. Bring your elbow down to the thigh. Maybe you can go inside the thigh if you go with the groin stretch. Either on top of it or inside it. Either way, it doesn't matter. Pull the serratus back to draw the ribs forward, top of the head forward. Breathe. Find the quad of the leg you're moving away from. Suck the low belly away from that quad more. Get more toward the left leg. Use your prayer to help push you across. So your left hand pushes into the right to bring your body more to that left leg. Good. Feel that coming out of the hip? Come back to the side. Good. Switch sides. Bring your elbow to the bolster. I'd rather see length here, so elbow forward than super far across, although if you can get it across and you can lift, you'll have both length and the twist. Push your top hand into your bottom hand. Think about picking your ribs up out of both hips. Both quads can engage, low belly lifting. Try to bring the belly off the bolster. And then shoulders down, chin in, neck long. Breathe. Think about bringing your ribs towards your prayer to open up that left side more. Then thinking about bringing your your spine and your sternum, inside rib cage and back, away.
Good. You guys still not stretching it? Yeah.
Does it feel like I'm pushing really hard in my sit-ups?
You are. Let your hips release under more. Yeah. Better? Yeah. So let your hips release under. Don't try to flex your back. Let your hips release under. Low belly can come out of the front of the pelvic floor. That'll be better. Bring your left elbow or your right elbow down to the quad, or take the leg wider and bring it inside. Whatever works. Pull back from serratus a little to bring your body forward toward the prayer. You can inner spiral, especially the left leg a little bit, and use that quad to anchor the leg while low belly pulls away. Use your prayer, pushing across, right hand into left to bring your ribs more to the right leg.
What is that?
That was our little gecko that lives somewhere in here. I don't know.
I
where.
saw him a
What's
little
he saying? Gecko.
I've never heard him.
I didn't know what it was, and never told me that's what it was. I had no idea what it was. Alright.
But then made a noise.
I didn't know what it was. I was freaking out when I first started. I was like, oh my
No,
god.
I was like, oh my god,
shoe
what's
a
that?
while ago.
AC's gonna blow up. I don't know. But yeah, no, it was what? It was in my shoe. Nice.
It was?
Lovely. Great. You probably left me a little present in there.
Alright. Bring your feet in.
Good for your skin.
Bring your feet in. I'm not that organic. Soles of the feet together. Alright, good. Baddha Konasana on top of your bolster. So the bolster's up against the groin, the pelvic floor, depending on your flexibility. Let's go ahead and bring your hand under the feet and try to pick your feet up very softly to you while your elbows come down into shins and your serratus spread the shoulder blade wide. So you're trying to stretch that muscle in your outer lower leg here on purpose. Okay, at the same time, don't try to bring your chest forward right now. Don't try to do that. Instead, suck your low belly back a little bit, but keep the serratus reaching forward. That's opposition. Okay. Keep lifting the feet a little against that pressure from elbows. Okay, then you can try to start coming forward, but bring elbows in front of shins instead of squishing the shins so hard. And try to pull back on your shins. You may even bring elbows low enough to pick shins up a little bit as you pull back on the shins. That'll help you release your hip flexors and you can make the spine a little longer. Keep serratus engaged, low belly lifting, collarbone and top of the head forward. If you keep your serratus softly engaged and your low belly softly lifting long enough, you'll start to feel your back release, your low back release, your hips release. Let go of the feet. Hold on to the front of the bolster instead. Open the toes up. Put a little pressure into the pinky side of the foot so heels get softer, lighter, one to lift. Try to feel if that opens your low back a little bit more. Breathe. Now feel like your feet are going to push the bolster forward. That should be a little quad engagement, a little straightening in the legs. Lift your low belly back away from them. Let that go. Pull back with the serratus. Lengthen the ribs one more time. And roll it up. We're getting a little deeper there. Good. All right. Bring your legs back out. Okay. Actually, bring your right leg across. Wrap the foot around. Bring your left leg as wide toward your foot as you can. Good. Either bring elbow inside the knee and prayer come inside the legs if you have that. And then you're going to pull chest to prayer by pulling serratus back. If you don't have that, hand holds the foot, elbow to the shin. Think of your hand pulling the knee back, shin back, while your shoulder tries to go past them. Other hand to the straight leg. Bring your body toward the straight leg, but keep rolling that shoulder forward. You should feel a stretch, maybe both in the left groin and the back of the right hip. Okay. If you've got your prayer, same thing, serratus back, go ribs come forward. Breathe. Good. Now keep your left elbow inside the left leg. Let that foot go toward the mat, wrapping down. Bring your arm up and back to open the chest, twisting a little bit. Your bottom elbow pushing against the leg. And then you can bring arm overhead. You should feel that hip opening. If you want to go deeper, you can reach for something, leg, foot, whatever you can reach, and slide the bottom arm forward more. It's leg, that's fine. Outer foot is fine. If you get a hold of something there, then you just push back, roll back a little bit further. Use that leverage. Breathe. Try to flex the quad of the leg you're on. You're coming forward. and come back forward, through the middle, and back up. Good. Don't hip, groin, lots of good stuff there. Bring it back to the middle, and then bring the elbow with us. Okay, open that leg into your split. Either bring hand to the inside of the foot, elbow to your shin. You're basically trying to pin that there, kind of. And then you're trying to bring your shoulder past it and chest into the middle of the legs, coming forward. Keep top of the head forward, chin up into your throat. Feel low belly pulling out of the hip until it releases. If you have a bigger stretch, you can bring elbow inside the knee and either come into prayer and roll back over that hip, or bring the elbow inside the other leg and find the groin stretch too, pulling the ribs toward the prayer, prayer toward the ribs from Serratus. Breathe. Keep thinking about moving your ribs toward the straight leg, away from the back leg. Bring it up. Keep the elbow inside the straight leg. Other arm opens back. Try to get that top shoulder rolling back, feeling the bottom shoulder actually rolls under you more. Elbow back, shoulder forward. And then you can bring the arm over the head to open up that side. Good. If you can go further, you can slide the arm further forward, hold leg, foot, whatever. If you get a hold of something, you're going to just roll back over the leg and use the bottom arm kind of to pin the leg back. Breathe. Put that on the bolster. If it can come to the floor, open the toes. One more breath here. And bring it back down through the center. Good, how are we doing? Yeah? Alright, let's just end with one more body pronouncement. Soles and the feet together. See if you have a little bit more space here. Elbows in front of the shins if you can get there. Hands to the front of the bolster or wherever you can hold. Softly pull back on your shins with your serratus. It comes from underneath the armpit. It comes from those muscles on the ribs. Top of the head forward. Lift your low belly out of the pelvic bowl into open ribs. Don't close ribs real quick. Breathe. And roll it up. Good. Okay. Come to sitting with the bolster underneath the legs. Grab your red ball. Get it underneath the back. Roll it a little further back than we usually do. We're going to go without the block this time. So roll it back to the mid-back and lay back on it. Good. So it should be under your mid to upper back and under your floating ribs. Make an upper back bend. Then tailbone under. Legs over your bolster. Put hands behind your head. And play with quads a little bit more here. Bring your shoulder blades down into your red ball. They should feel like they're coming forward and down. Stabbing into the red ball. Once you stab into the red ball, it should make you feel like your head is energized up. Top of the head longer to the ceiling, back of the neck longer. Then release your hips, no touching. Inner spiral your legs. Keep them real soft. Just roll them in until the knees and quads face the ceiling. To engage your quads, you just pop the feet up, real soft. That's quad. If everything else engaged, it may feel like it usually does. Oh, there you go. Do it again, just quads. Okay, keeping quads engaged, suck the belly back. Pull the ribs down into the ball. Pick your hips up. No glute squeeze. No glute squeeze. Lay back over the ball. No glute squeeze. Shoulder blades stay in the ball. If this is too hard, keep your hips down off the back. And then slowly let the hips drop back down to the mat. Let your quads release. Good. While you're here, find quads again. Pull the ribs down into the ball. Pick your head up an inch or two. And that should be your leverage to pick up hips. It shouldn't hurt your back. Pull the head all the way up slowly. Rounding the upper back. Shoulder blades into the ball. Driving down. Brings head longer. Release glutes. Low belly draws the pelvic bowl under. And then put your hips back down. Good. You getting that? Keep pulling the head forward softly. It should feel like the top of the head is going to where the wall meets the ceiling in front of you, while your chin is dropping back to where the wall meets the ceiling behind you. Neck stretch. Shoulder blades slide forward, but keep it going forward here. Don't tuck it toward you. That just creates a wall that you can't pass. Soften your upper back, kind of round. Chin in and back, top of the head forward. Breathe. Inner spiral of the legs but soft. Keep pubic bone forward through the legs. Low belly in. Releasing that. Lay back over the ball. Shoulder blades into the ball. Neck long. Ribs open away from the hips to let you lay back. Low belly sinking out of the pelvic floor. Slowly bring just your head up first. Shoulder blades into your ball. Serratus engaging. Hands pull the head. Chin dropping back. Keep it coming. Hips stay forward now as your ribs drop down. Don't close ribs into each other too hard. Let them drop down to the floor. Good. Push your bolster forward. Nice going that spine in both directions. Nothing in the low down. Pop the hips forward until your bolster is under the shoulder blades. Your hands behind the head. Elbows where you can see them. This time you're going to lay back. Let your elbows reach back. They stay close a little bit, not squeezing the head, but in, so that your shoulder blades stay wrapped around the sides of the ribs, and then they slide back. You can even let go. Reach the hands back. When your head drops back, the spine should happily arc under the ball, so head is supported. Should not feel a big kink in your neck. If that's the case, then your ball needs to move up toward the neck. Bring your hands back to the head when you're ready. Pick your head up off the ball. The thoracic spine, uppermost part of the spine is still on the ball. Let the ribs drop into the mat. Keep your pubic bone forward. Rounding the back, elbows wide. Good job. Push the bolster further forward. Bring your feet to the edges. Okay, come a little further forward on your ball. Bring your left elbow way out to the left. Forearm parallel to the side of the mat. Right hand behind the head, really supporting it. Don't turn your head left. Don't turn toward the hand. Keep your head in the middle, spine straight. Okay, lift the outer arch of your left foot. It should be all the way to the edge of the bolster. Drop that knee and hip forward. Okay, then let yourself roll back over the ball. You should be right in the middle, not over to the left. If anything, your hand pulls your head a little right. And then to come back up, it's just your right serratus. The serratus pull from underneath the armpit, pulling the head up. Let your ribs drop deeper into the mat when that happens. Feel ribs and hip coming apart now. Breathe. Feel that stretching the sides and hip. If you want to go deeper, you can cross ankle over knee. Put a little extra weight into that. And bring elbow further left. Think of your left hip releasing toward the left heel. Head is still in the middle. Bring it up. Slow down your ball. Come up. Bring your right elbow out to the side. Forearm parallel to the mat. Take the ribs way over there. Try to drop ribs into the mat. Heel toe the right foot out to the right edge of your bolster. Head is in the middle. Your forearm is behind the head. Hand kind of wraps around to the right side, so you've got to get support for the head. Drop shoulder away from ear. Bring that right hip and knee forward and across to the left. Across your midline. Lay back over the ball. That should let you open the hip a little bit more. Then go ahead and start bringing the head back up by using the serratus under the left shoulder blade. Head is up and maybe even a little left, away from the right side. Let your ribs drop down. Good. If you want to deepen it, you can bring the left leg across. Bring the right elbow wider though to the right at the same time. Left shoulder blade is down the bottom. Let that right hip release toward the right heel a little bit. That opens the right sitting bone. You're leaving the bursa there. Keep low belly sinking and breathe. Uncross the leg. Good. Okay, go ahead and roll forward until your ball is just under the head and neck. Slide it back so it's really only under the head and neck, and your head is very decidedly facing forward. Bring your feet in front of your bolster. Pull the bolster up to the glutes. Do not squeeze your butt. Do not squeeze your glutes to lift the glutes. We don't press with the body, with the muscles. You pull. So feel low belly pull the pelvic bowl to the floor. At the same time, quads pull by pushing with the feet. It's a pull on the body. Quads are pulling the legs straight, right? That's how you lift hips. Pressure in the feet, quads engage, low belly engage. That's it, no glutes. Okay, once you have the bolster under the hips, roll the ball back a little. If you need to, chin back, upper back should be on the floor. Bring one leg in at a time. Okay, hold on to your shins, or the ankles actually, on top of the feet, arms inside the legs. Elbows push out into the inside of the knee, trying to roll the pelvic bowl a little forward. Serratus pulling wide, and you're pulling the feet up toward your shoulders and in toward each other a little. So you're trying to make little triangles under each arm. Breathe. Press back into the ball with the neck to open ribs more. Roll low belly forward, keep it going forward a little. Okay. And go into the usual way, bring hands underneath the heels or to the tops of the feet like regular happy baby, either one. Drop your left or your right leg forward, your right arm back. Try to use quad to straighten the leg. All it does is lift your lower leg in line with knee. And once you have all the way to that, you can reach that whole unit forward out of the hip. Breathe. Slowly bring the right arm up. Use serratus. Think of pulling the arm up from underneath. Put a soft bend in your elbow so the elbow leads up. Let your ribs drop deeper into the mouth. And bring the foot in. Switch. Left leg out in front. Let your left shoulder blade drop down into the mat. Then let the arm drop back. Palm facing in. It's a little wide. Okay. Keep the left quad engaged just enough to make the leg one whole heavy unit, pulling the whole hip forward. Breathe. Sink low belly out of the front of that hip. Slowly bring it up from underneath. Use your serratus, pulling the shoulder blade up the side of the ribs. And just follow it lightly. Find your breath. And bring it back in. Good. Go ahead and bring one foot at a time to the floor. Get rid of your red ball to lay it flat. Push your bolster to the tip of your tailbone. Actually a little less than that, just to the back of the pelvic bowl. Stay there for a minute. And turn up that little arm thing. Sorry about that. Alright. So bolster is just under, basically the sacrum, I guess. Alright. Feet about as wide as the mat. Drop both knees over to the left. Right knee dropping across your midline. Bring your right arm overhead. Try to open the ribs a little bit there. Easy stretch. Bring it back. Okay, drop both knees over to the right. Left knee dropping into your center line. Bring your left arm back. Reach away from you. And bring it back. Okay. Go ahead and bring the legs in one at a time. Push the bolster forward all the way down to your calves. And let the calves rest on top of the bolster. Good job. Bring the arms up. Palms face in. If you're looking at your ceiling here, it should look like hands are surrounding the forehead. Let your shoulders drop down. They will drop a little up toward the ears as they drop down to the mat because the ribs are wider here. Rib cage is wider at the bottom than at the top. That's normal. That's the neck being disengaged. Now keep your chin down, neck long. Slowly lower the arms back. Use your serratus underneath the shoulder blades. Pick your shoulder blades up to slow the descent. And feel like the bottom of the shoulder blades are wrapping up next to ribs, while top of the shoulders drop back. Chin down, neck long. Inhale. Try to keep hands hovering, serratus a little engaged. It helps you open your ribs. And then exhale, sink your low belly. Soften the hips. Do it again. Inhale. Exhale, long and even. Use your serratus to pull the arms up. Keep hips released. Really slowly bringing arms up from underneath. Elbows aimed forward. Just feel a little stretch in the tops of the shoulders. And then bring your hands all the way to the mat. Palms facing up when you're ready. Take a long, soft inhalation through the nose. Holding that air in at the top of the breath. Slightly lift the chin to unlock the chest, roll shoulders a little back. And as you exhale, go the other way. Let your shoulders roll a touch forward so the back of the ribs get heavier. Chin can drop a little. One more breath like that. Inhaling. And then exhale, soft, easy. Let the eyes roll into the back of the head and the middle of the forehead, right the third eyelid. feel it spreading across the facial muscles, the brow, the bridge of the nose. Try to feel it spreading between the ears and the jaw, across the base of the tongue. Let everything go. Deepening the breath again when you're ready. On your next inhale, hold the breath at the top. And then suck a little more air in. Hold.